bringing the people behind our food to life.
Today I'm going to be teaching you how to make pie crust. So we're going to start with 2½ cups of flour, to which we're going to add 1½ teaspoons of salt. I'm going to just give that a little bit of a stir. Now we're going to cut a ½ cup of butter into small pieces. Just make it easier to cut that in with the pastry cutter. And we're going to add a ½ cup of shortening. So now we're going to take our pastry cutter and cut all of this into the flour. So it's really important that your butter and your shortening are cold. Just take them out of the refrigerator right before you begin. We want to make sure that we don't overwork this, but that we get it to about these pea-sized chunks. Doesn't have to be very uniform. You want those kind of bigger pieces of butter in there to melt. That gives it that nice flaky texture when it's baked. So we're pretty close to having about the right texture here. Okay. So now we want to add a ½ cup to 3/4 of a cup of ice water. Just make sure that you don't actually get any ice chunks in there. The ice water is important to prevent the butter from melting. We want it to melt when we actually put the pie into the oven. So another trick is, especially if if it's a warm day or if your hands are really warm, you can actually just dip them into the ice water to get them nice and cool before starting to work the dough. So again, you want to work quickly and not knead this dough too much. So this recipe is actually for a double crust, so you just want to make two balls out of it that you're then going to roll out. Okay, so that's good. And you can see how this is actually kind of even flaking in my hand. That's about the texture that you want this to be at. And before rolling them out, you're actually going to want to put them into the refrigerator for a short period of time. It allows the gluten to sort of relax and it'll make them easier to roll out. So now we're going to get some flour onto our surface before rolling out the dough. Now we're going to take one of our balls and just kind of flatten it out a little bit. And actually just kind of flip it over to get flour on both those surfaces. And even get a little bit on the rolling pin. And then just start rolling from the center out. And if it feels like it's sticking, just put a little bit more flour on your rolling pin. Now we can just fold it over a couple of times. And fit it into the pie pan. So it's important to not stretch it. Just kind of fit it in there and cut off the excess. And then just kind of fold the ends under. Now you can use a fork just to press the edges down. So now your pie is ready to be filled, and once you're ready to bake the pie, you put it into the oven at 425 degrees for about 10 or 15 minutes, just to have that high heat to really melt the butter, and then lower it down to about 350 and continue baking the pie for maybe around a half hour, just depending on what you have filled the pie with. And keep an eye on your crust, on the sides of your crust if you only have the bottom layer, and if you have the top layer also, you're going to want to definitely keep an eye on it and make sure that you don't burn the crust, and you can actually cover it with tin foil to prevent that from happening. And that's it.